The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Henderson, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36830. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting first on the face of the front bumper, you'll find on the passenger and driver side your electronic siren and PA speaker. Just inside that location, you'll find dual air horns. There are 2 paddle latches on the face of the front bumper. This gains you access to the front bumper hose storage location. Also, unit identifier E84. As we move up onto the top of the bumper extension, you'll find on the passenger side your fire bell. Just inside of that location, you'll find a D handle gains access into a hose storage location. As we move over to the driver's side, you'll find an additional D handle gains access into a storage area. This is the location of your decon access. On the top, you'll find your mechanical siren. As we move to the cab face, on the outer edge, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Just inside that location, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. As we move up just from that location to the next cluster, you'll find emergency warning lights. And then as we look to the Pierce logo, directly behind is where you'll find the access latch for gaining access under the hood. Moving up onto the windshield, there are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving further up and out on the outer edges, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. There is also a downward pointing convex mirror on the underside, both passenger and driver side. As we move just on the inside is where you'll find your HOS system, traffic information collision avoidance system. You'll also find 5 clearance lights across the brow of the apparatus and a forward-facing brow floodlight. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located in the center of that light bar is where your Opticom system is located. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, let's start with everything in the open position. We'll start on the passenger side. D handle gains you access into this hose storage location. As we move toward the center, you'll find 2 paddle latches will gain you access into this storage location for your front bumper line and an 1.5-inch discharge. Also, this line is foam capable. As we move toward the driver's side, this is where you'll find your decon line. On the very top side, it is clearly identified. As we move back to the Pierce logo on the front grille, this is where you'll find the latch for gaining access to the hood. Once we have the hood open, we'll gain access on the passenger side to the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's move to the right in this image where you'll find your reservoir for your coolant. This is for overflow. And then also you'll find on the rear wall instructions for your cab lift. There are instructions to raise and also to lower. Please ensure all items are secure within the cab area. You'll also find the remote push button for your cab raise, and then also the power steering fluid ATF. General view here of the driver's side of the vehicle. Let's focus in on the cab section first, starting with the front axle where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator. As we move forward to that location, you'll find the bumper extension has a side-facing emergency warning light. You'll also find easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your latch and lock door opener. And then to the right, you'll find your grab handles located on each door for gaining access in and out of the cab. There are 2 shoreline ejects here, one for shoreline power and the other for your air conditioning unit, and a side-facing emergency warning light directly over the front axle. As we move upward from that location, you'll find a water tank level indicator. And then as we move toward the rear cab wall, you'll also find a pole light, floodlight, which is movable. As we move to the body, just in front of and in rear of the axle are your storage locations for your folding wheel chocks. To the front of the axle, you'll find your marker turn indicator light. and then also a side-facing emergency warning light directly over the rear axle. As we move to the very top side area, you'll find emergency warning lights. We have blue and red toward the rear. Toward the rear, we'll also find a side-facing floodlight. Let's go ahead and move around to the rear section of the apparatus. We'll start first with brake light and then also a turn indicator. Just inside of that location, you have two smaller lights. One is going to be an emergency warning light at the very top section, and the next directly below that will be your backup or reverse lights. As we move up toward the top of the apparatus on the passenger and driver side rear, you'll find two lights located here. First at the top side, a red emergency light, and then also a combination light. This is a blue emergency light. Let's go ahead and move toward the center of the vehicle. Just above the Pierce logo is where you'll find your traffic advisor. And then directly in the center, recessed into the rear body, you'll find your backup camera. We also have a mounted 2.5-inch discharge located here. Let's go ahead and move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, full view of the entire vehicle, and we'll focus in on the cab section next. Both of these are mostly identical on the passenger and driver side. I would like to point out though, back on the rear body, this is where your exhaust is located, just in front of the rear axle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Please use caution. As we move now into the driver's space, let's first start with the door open and the door panel, where it's affixed all of our safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, and electric window controls, and a grab handle. General view inside the cab area, we'll focus in on a few things. Let's start first with the base where the seat is located. This is where you'll find an air inlet chuck located at the base of the driver's seat. Also, about the right ankle of the driver while operating that seat is where you'll find the manufactured by Pierce Manufacturing. This plaque has the 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, also the date of manufacture and VIN number. The lower portion of the plaque has all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find a foot pedal for the air horn and mechanical siren. And about the left knee of the operator, you'll find your engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port. Just to the right of that location, you'll find a tech module port. And then further to the right, you'll find your display port. This is for your maintenance team. Let's move further down. We have a few switches located here. First, let's start with ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Let's go ahead and move now up to the dash area. We'll start on the left-hand side with your 4-way flashers or hazard lights and ignition start switches. Just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights, along with your headlight switch and also a panel switch will allow you to brighten and dim lights within preview of the operator. To the right, OK to engage your high idle switch and indicator. To the left, you'll find your transmission, oil, def level, and water temp. On the right side, we have front air, rear air, fuel, and volts. Located directly in the center, you're going to find the tachometer and speedometer. And diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will display above and below the speedometer and tachometer. General view here just to the right of the operator. Let's go ahead and identify a few items with this area. First, let's start with the yellow diamond. This is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. These are your rear parking brakes. To the right, you'll find your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information here on the touchscreen, and also please see your owner's manual for more information. Allison transmission, informational note to pump in neutral. As we start at the very top with some switches, we have a radio master, front flood, driver side scene, passenger side scene, and rear scene. Moving down, engine brake on and off, settings for low, medium, and high, mirror heat, off-road traction, and your load manager. At the very top, this is the rear traffic advisor control module. As we move down, we have a display here regarding stationary OK to pump and roll. This is an indicator, water pump, and radio push to talk. Let's move just slightly forward to this location and to the right, where you'll find your mirror control for the left and right mirror, and then also climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the driver's seat. You'll find this yellow placard on the left indicating the height 10 feet 9 inches, length 32 feet 10 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 48,500 pounds. As we move further to the right, we have some additional switches located here. These are your emergency warning lights. First, we'll start with emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Moving slightly to the right, you'll find an additional switching package here located for the high beam flash, your Opticom switch, which is located in the center of the light bar, an electronic siren, the siren brake for the EQ2B, your mechanical siren, and then also perimeter lights. As we move further to the right, you'll find your control module for your electronic siren and also PA speaker system. Further to the right, we have a digital pump pressure and water tank level indicator. As we move toward the center of the roof area, this is where you'll find the Haas system located in the front windshield area, difficult to see in this image, and also seatbelt information regarding red, someone is in the seat and not belted, green, they're in the seat and belted. Also, do not move your apparatus when this light is flashing, indicating you have a compartment door or something ajar. As you move in between the officer and driver's seat, you'll find your flashlight storage location and also chargers. Just beneath that, you'll find your unit radio speaker. As we move to the exterior, this is directly behind the driver's seat, you'll find your auto charge status center. Also the battery charger shoreline inlet and also crew cab shoreline inlet. That's for your air conditioning. Back down, we have Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheels, and that visual sight gauge indicator in the center of the axle. Let's move toward the rear crew cab area. We'll start first affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and also a grab handle. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, and also your 110 air conditioner, which is the white cover in the very center. As we move to the forward section, you'll find storage location. There is LED lighting in these storage spaces. As we move toward the top section here, you'll find your lock box. And then just a quick look as we move downward, adjustable shelves and LED lighting netting to protect that items from falling out. Inside those compartments, you'll find shoreline power and then also 12-volt barrel style access. As we move toward the center, just below this upper portion EMS compartment here, you'll find a lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Quick look here at the rear section of the cab wall. There are 3 seats across the back. As we move now to the exterior, let's start first at the very top section with the netting area. At the top is where you're going to find backboard storage and then also a discharge located in the upper portion. As we move down, I would like to point out some warning placards. This is a warning regarding entanglement hazard because of those lines coming from aloft. To remove the speed lay, just simply lift up on the latch here. We'll draw down the drawer, allowing you to pull it out. As we move to the notch area where the pump panel is located, you'll find a locally controlled 2.5-inch discharge. Also a warning placard that caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, this is the large diameter pump inlet on the driver's side. And then as we move, we also have an additional warning here. When you're climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle while climbing onto it. Also to the right, you'll find an air outlet and also a chuck just below that for air tools. All of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains on the very bottom section. And then a 2.5-inch locally controlled pump inlet. This is a female. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups. Here's that number 1 driver's side discharge. This is not foam capable. As we move to the right, this is the air supply for the air tool outlet. As we move further down, across the very bottom, color-coded and labeled discharges. These are the drains for each 3. As we move to the right, driver's side auxiliary inlet, locally controlled. Your step that does fold outward is connected to the do not move your apparatus and must be restored for travel. As we move to the right, we'll take a look at the pump panel. Let's start at the very top section of the pump panel, first with this light. If you've engaged your pump properly from inside the cab, this light will be illuminating, indicating OK to pump. In the gray module is our engine module. The outer edge, we have our oil, water temp, fuel, and volts. In the center, we have a tachometer. There are some tally lights here, which are stop engine lights and also check engine. They are color-coded, indicating the severity, along with the check transmission. As we move to the right, you'll find your master pump intake gauge and then also your master pump discharge gauge. Moving further to the right, this is a PCM fault indicator. It is a visual indicator. As we move further down, you'll find your vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. These are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. Let's move further down on the pump panel, where you'll start first with our discharges. As you can see, color-coded, indicating the discharge location. All of the red placards are indicating foam capable. To the right, foam level indicator. In the blue section here in this module, water tank level indicator. Let's move further down on the pump panel, where you'll find your Foam Pro. This is what controls the foam system. Also to the right, a fire pump primer, push to prime, air prime, at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices when engaging this device. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Pump Boss. Tremendous amount of information. Please see your owner's manual for more information. And also your recirculating line, which is a twist, not a pull. Let's move down to the left, where you'll find your tank fill and tank to pump. As we move further to the right, this is the 1-inch decon line in the front bumper area. And then as we move further to the right, you'll find this black indicator here. This is a speaker. The outer edge of this does rotate. This is an audible alarm speaker. Moving to the right, you'll find the electronic valves for the large diameter passenger side and also the 2.5-inch passenger side. There's also a driver rear discharge and a deluge discharge. Let's move further down on the pump panel, where you're going to find this minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments, and also like to point out a warning that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. We have some discharges here, including the primer drain. As we look to the pan door, we'll go over that in just a few minutes. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left is the associated GPM at test pressure, and on the right side is the associated RPM with that test pressure. Governed speed, 2400 at pump time. As we move further to the right in the pan door, we'll find an open and close valve inside, and also you'll find the inject and also calibration flush for your foam system. As we move further down, you'll find the manual pump shift override. It is a protected switch, and we do have an indicator on the right for visual indication. As we move back to the pump panel, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's jump up to the side of the vertical side sheet, where you'll find a red air horn button. And then also let's look just inside the compartment here, where you'll find your S1, which stands for shoreline. This is your breaker box for that area. As we move to the side of the vehicle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for at least 4 bottles. They do have retaining straps, also SCBA storage, and a flashlight right next to each of those locations. This is also the location of your ultra low sulfur diesel. This is the silver cap fill location. Let's go ahead and move back down to the SCBA bottle storage area. Just a close up here, retaining straps for safety. And then as we move down to the rear axle, once again, Alcoa wheels, Goodyear tire. Let's move back to the section that has the SCBA door. This is going to also contain your DEF fill location. The blue cap is the fill for your 4.5 DEF tank. As we move toward the rear compartment, this is going to be 2 pull-out trays. The release mechanism is located on the lower right side. Here's a demonstration with those in the full deployed position. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll identify a few items here. Let's first start with some storage in the very top section. This is right next to the hose bed area. As we move just down from this location, you'll find the storage location for your 24-foot extension ladder. Moving further down, you'll find 2 switches, hose bed lights, and also rear scene. And then as we move toward the hose bed itself, you'll find 3 hose bed dividers. There are also discharges located at the front bulkhead. We'll go over that in a moment. Also, warning placard regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Just to the right, you'll find an entanglement hazard warning placard indicating from those lines coming from aloft there's the possibility of entanglement. In the center, we have a recessed traffic advisor. Also in the same vicinity in the center, we have a recessed backup camera. Further to the right, just on the opposite side of the Pierce logo, is where you'll find a warning regarding fall. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion, and then also when climbing onto the vehicle, off or on, you should always face the vehicle. There's also a 2.5-inch discharge located at the very top section. Let's move further to the right, where you'll find at the very bottom section in the center, additional storage, dry deck material, LED lighting, and also ventilation. This is the uppermost compartment, full-through compartment at the very top section, and then also we have long-handled tool storage for our rubbish or trash hooks. As we move to the smaller compartment, you'll find your 10-foot folding ladder and also a New York hook. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find an additional storage location for your 14-foot roof ladder. And then let's go ahead and take a look at a general view here of the passenger side. All compartment doors are open, but let's go ahead and start with the rear compartment at the back of the truck. There are 2 pull-out trays located on this or in this compartment, and also 2 fixed adjustable trays. As we move toward the center compartment, you'll find SCBA bottle storage, and there is also oxygen bottle storage located here and retaining straps. As we move to the top of our SCBA bottle storage, pack storage rather, and then also flashlights. As we move back to that, you can see the smaller upper corner. That is for your oxygen bottle storage. As we move down to the rear axle, once again, Goodyear tires and Alcoa wheels. Let's move just to the front of the axle. This is the location of your exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle, especially during a regen operation. Once again, front of the axle, 2 bottle storage and an oxygen bottle storage location. As we move to the next compartment forward, the very bottom section is the storage location for your little giant ladder. And then we also have some additional things in the very top section. Shoreline outlet. When plugged into Shoreline power, this outlet will become active. We do have a pull-out tool board located on both right and left side of that tool board. And then as we move to the front section, same configuration as you have on the driver's side for hose storage and backboard storage. This is the top section. And then we'll move down to the bottom section. We have the 2.5-inch discharges and additional warning placard regarding entanglement hazard. Let's move down to the notch where the pump is located for the panel. In this section, we have a warning regarding climbing onto the vehicle. Always face it. As we move to the right, this is the passenger side large diameter inlet. And then also, once again, warning regarding pressure hazards. Caps may be under pressure. These are the 2 electric valves on the side of the vehicle, and they do require to have a override. The small hole cutout is where the override is located. As we move down, you'll find the 2.5-inch passenger side auxiliary inlet, and then also large diameter passenger side. This is once again is an electric valve, so we have an override. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find all of our drains color-coded and labeled. Let's take a look at some close-ups of those items we just talked about. First, override for the number 2 passenger side discharge. Auxiliary passenger side inlet. This is a 2.5 also, locally controlled. And then the override here in the cutout section for your large diameter discharge. Once again, you have a step located here. It is connected to the do not move your apparatus when it is folded outward or deployed. As we move now into the rear section of the cab area, once again, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and a grab handle. Looking into the inside of the vehicle at the roof, you'll find push on and off white and red lens lights, and then also your Shoreline powered air conditioner unit. 3 seats across the back wall, also your David Clark headset system on the back wall also. Forward, you'll have EMS compartments here, shelves, and also lights, Shoreline outlets, and 12-volt outlets. Let's move back outside where we'll find that front axle. Just a quick review. Remember, we have Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheels. And then as we move around to the front or officer section, let's go inside the cab area here. But let's first start with the door panel. Affixed to that door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and a grab handle. As we look toward the center roof section, you'll find once again speakers, and then also the push on and off white or red lens lights and our air conditioning unit. As we move to the forward section, let's start on the very far left side. This is your unit radio. Move further to the right, you'll find a stereo for Bluetooth, Sirius XM, CD player, and also weather band. Moving toward the front section of the windshield is where you'll find your MDT location and then also your fire bell. As we move just downward from this location, we have a panel on the officer side. This is where you'll find all of our circuit breakers and access. This would be easy access for your maintenance team. Also, as we move to the left, we have a few items here. First, let's start in the very forward section with your radio push to talk. Then as we move just inside of that or toward the driver's seat, you'll find also 12-volt barrel style. And then also USB style. We do also have an additional front brake located in this area. General view, we already talked about the flashlights and also your unit speaker. As we move behind the seat, you'll find your David Clark headset system plug-in location. And now let's go ahead and go on to the top section into the dunnage where you'll find your master stream. This is a extend-a-gun and also a monsoon TFT. As we move toward the rear section of the apparatus, you do have a covered hose bed area. There are yellow indicators that are reflective, indicating the edge of the walking surface. Also, we have additional storage on both passenger and driver side. There are 2 sets, forward and also rear. Let's go back to the dunnage area real quick. We'll identify a few items. Green is going to be your foam system. We do have a warning placard tank indicator indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. This is a 30-gallon tank. You also have a 1,000-gallon water tank. Hose bed dividers located here, and also as we move to the front section or bulkhead area, you'll find an 1.5-inch discharge. As we move right, you'll find 2.5-inch discharges. Also, just a few more images here of the hatch compartments at the very top. The next set of images are going to be that of the chassis and also engine area. These are just to identify items. Let's start first. You have your tow hooks located in the very bottom section, and then also just some attachment points for direct pull. As we move toward the engine, would like to point out that there is this bar located. This is normally stored parallel with the frame rail. When you have fully tilted the cab, this bar should be placed in. This is a safety bar. Just as a reminder, do not lower the cab onto this bar. Keep equal pressure on the 2 lift cylinders on the passenger and driver side cab lift. General view here as we move toward where the batteries are located. Underneath you'll find the red and negative positive and negative jumper studs. You'll also find when you're lowering the cab that you should hold the down button for at least 3 to 5 seconds to allow the cab to lock. As we move to the right here, you'll find a fill location or hydraulic reservoir for the cab tilt. There is insulation under the very bottom section of the cab. And then as we move toward the bottom section, the next set of images are going to be from the perimeter area. Then I have just a short video to show you. This is with your emergency lights on and then also any perimeter lighting that may be on. Congratulations, Henderson, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36830. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.